I'm going to ask everybody, I'm going to ask you to call roll call, and then we'll do the pledge. I'm so excited to get you guys up here.
Holly Jarvis.
Here.
Kim Winter. Absent. Andrea Fick.
Present.
Chuck Moke.
Here.
Jessica Lenave.
Here.
Jack Sayer.
Here.
Carrie Germain.
Here. Almost all of us are here. All right, please join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I hope Travis is back there. Are we recording? Okay. Well, welcome everyone. It's so nice to see a full house tonight. I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Kitchen in a minute, but Travis, are we not recording? We are? Oh, we're good. I saw you disappear and I went, uh-oh. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Kitchen, but we are very excited tonight to be joined by our award-winning varsity cheerleading squad. And so I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Kitchen.
Thank you very much. As you know, one of our values is excellence, and this team tonight has displayed excellence multiple times now. They come to us as back-to-back Metro champions. They're now district champions, and this Saturday will be competing to be regional champions. So with that, I would like to introduce their coach, Shayla Marinsky. Is she here tonight? Yeah, there you are. Yes. We just want to say congratulations. You are representing Swartz Creek so well, and we're very proud of you, and we look forward to what you're going to do this weekend. And go Dragons.
So ladies, I did chat with your coach a little bit, and we're leaving it up to you. You may have a cheer that you might want to do.
No pressure.
I see faces that are like, oh, excited and surprised. So look at that. Look at that. Always ready. Happy faces.
Oh, boy. This has to be a shirt.
Ready? Go.
Ladies, just stay right there because we want to be able to get a picture with you. So just stay there and keep looking out. And if somebody would like to, and Shayla, come on. Come on, Shayla.
Congratulations. Got a cheer pose to do?
And best of luck to all of you this Saturday and beyond, because I'm confident that you'll see the beyond. So thank you so much for indulging us and for being here tonight. Yes.
Ladies, I just want to tell you congratulations. I was saying up here, some of you I've known since you were really young. The point is you don't get to this point, and you know this in cheer, without working together. And your perseverance and dedication over the years is just tremendous, and congratulations. And I hope that, as Carrie said, that, you know, in your beyond, you take what you learn from this. And I miss my calling as a cheerleader, I feel like, growing up, but I love to do it now. So that's what I'm gonna say to you. I'm just gonna say, keep going. You ladies are awesome and amazing, and you set a great example for others. So thanks a lot, and congratulations.
And if you can make it out Saturday, you should see them in person. I've been twice, and they're absolutely amazing. So if you have nothing to do, it's well worth your time Saturday. Where are you gonna be Saturday? In Fenton High School. 8 a.m.? 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Be there.
Thanks again, everyone. And thanks, Shayla, for your leadership. I know it takes a good coach to get them this far, so thank you. All right, we can make a choice here. We have public comment coming up, and I'm open to the board's desire. We could either let the folks go, or we can do public comment, let folks comment, including anything that has to do with our wonderful cheerleaders, or we can release them. So which would you rather do?
I'd say keep them.
Okay, well, you're here.
Till 8 o'clock.
No. You're excused.
I do want to mention that some folks might want to know why the bowling team isn't here yet, but that's coming. At the point when this agenda was set and you guys were already coming here, I don't think they had been awarded their district. So in the future, for all those folks that are out there cheering for our bowling team. All right, so with that, we have an opportunity for public comment. If you'd like to address the board related to items that are on our agenda this evening, please step forward. The podium will be moved back over in its place, and give us your name and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. There will be a second opportunity towards the end of the meeting for items that are not related to the agenda or that are on our agenda. Is anyone? Okay. All right. At this point, if you would like to leave, you are excused. If you'd like to stay, you may stay. I do want to mention we have 3 student teachers, University of Michigan teaching candidates in our midst. And go ahead, we won't be offended.
It's okay. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much, girls and parents. So we have 3 U of M teaching candidates, student teaching candidates. Oops. I don't know who you're going to introduce them. So Katie, could you introduce these folks? They had an assignment to come to a board meeting.
Yes, they did. I would love to.
So they're not leaving because they're here for a board meeting.
This is their assignment, so they come up to the podium because that's where the microphone is, and I know how this works. So I have become clearly friends with Tracy, the placement coordinator at the U of M Flint campus. Her and I talk quite frequently about aspiring teachers and their field placements. And we are so blessed that Moorish is now becoming a space for these young educators to come and learn and grow in their practice. So we have 3 here tonight, and we just, I'm going to forget her name again. Kennedy? Yes. Kennedy joined us this afternoon. She will be with us in the fall with Miss Letter. But we have Lily on the this side over here. She's in 1st grade with Miss Sorter. We have Ashley with Mrs. Mellish. And then my middle friend is at Hamady. Remind me of your name. Chastity is in Hamady, but they had an assignment to come to a board meeting tonight, and so I wanted to be here kind of unbeknownst to them that I was here, and then the Blueberries are here, and my team is over here on this side too, so it's always a pleasure to come and see all of the wonderful things that are happening in our district and to share them with you. Thank you. You're welcome.
For being that person that they want.
yes. Yeah. Well, thank you.
And at the point that you have enough fulfill the requirements for being here, you have other obligations. All right, moving on. Let's see. We have our consent agenda before us. I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Support.
Jack, Andrea, any comments or questions? Hearing none, Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Carrie Germain,
Yes.
Holly Jarvis.
Yes.
Chuck Melkey,
Yes.
Andrea Fick,
Yes.
Kim Winter is absent, Jessica LaNave,
Yes.
and Jack Sayer.
Yes.
6 yes.
All right, motion passes. We have all of the consent agenda approved. Now we're moving on. Very exciting time. And Mr. Kitchen has graciously agreed to stand in tonight for Mr. Heatherton, who's at a conference. So it's all yours.
Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be here, sitting in the center here, as Rod is at a conference. And so I'm just share an update that he asked me to present tonight. And just a reminder that our superintendent did send a community survey, and it's open for one more week. We would love to have your feedback, especially you that are watching online. Please consider going in and making sure to have your voice heard in that community survey. We have a very special event. Our second annual Wellness in the Creek is coming up fast and furiously here. It takes place on April 9th from 5:30 to 7:30. We're going to have nearly 60 partners from around Genesee County showing up so that our families can be connected with the services that are provided that are at our fingertips. And this is a wonderful event, and we're looking forward to having people come out for some information, giveaways, food, and fun. Actually, Katie Hunt is the facilitator for our meeting, working with Ms. Carrie Germain. And this is sure to be just a wonderful event. So we encourage you to come out and join us April 9th. Meet all of our partners and just have a good time together. Our third piece is our high school hub. As a former high school principal, it was always challenging to try to put MTSS practices into place, and that's multi-tiered systems of support, ways that we can help students who need additional help, and even help our students who are doing well to even pursue higher achievements. We have what's called a high school hub at our high school, and that's where students can go. We have lots of resources there, social workers, student success coordinators, instructional coaches, and we have been privileged to have them present at a local Kiwanis and local Rotary about some of the achievements that's taken place with that group at our high school. And I really, it's been great to hear what they're doing, and I really have a feeling that what they're doing up there is going to be a model across the state, and that they'll be presenting even more than just locally. But congratulations, that's Jenny Edwards, Ashley Heatherton, and Jamie Damon, who are representing that high school hub. Genesee County Wellness Symposium. This is taking place on March 14th. It's really their first annual. And Rod and I will be presenting with a team from Montrose on how we're using our eye wellness data. So that's coming up very soon. We're looking forward to being able to be pioneers really in that capacity also. Number 5 is we have our kindergarten signing day coming up March 18th. You are going to see some social media blitzes taking place. This is real exciting. We call it signing day because we actually have giant pencils, and our kindergarten students who are coming in can actually sign the dotted line with becoming a dragon. So it's a very cute event. It's very student-centered, and that takes place again March 18th. Finally, excuse me, we have We Love Our Bus Month that's been taking place this month, where we're highlighting our bus drivers. You know, they have a big job where they're driving and precious cargo that they constantly have their back to as they're on the road. I mean, they do an amazing job with what they do, and we do love our bus drivers. We've been recognizing them through social media, and tomorrow we have an event where they're going to come together with our administrators, and we're going to have a time just to kind of get to know our bus drivers, and we have some prizes that we're going to be giving out. But I encourage you, please make sure your bus driver knows what you think of them and how you appreciate them. We could not get it done without our bus drivers. They're the first person our kids see in the morning and the last one that they see at night. And so they are very vital to the program we provide here in Swartz Creek. So thank you very much, and that's the superintendent report.
Thank you, Jim. Any questions for Jim?
I just have a question about the wellness in the Creek Night 2. What time is that on April 9th?
Great question. It's 5:30 to 7:30.
5:30 to 7:30? And that's over there at the stadium, right?
It's actually up in our Performing Arts Center.
In the PAC, okay.
And, we'll be giving away food to families who come participate. And it's not something that we say, if you need it, come and get it. This is for every community member. You are invited to come because we believe that there's so many resources that are untapped in our community. And we want all of our community to be able to come and enjoy this. So I'm glad you say that. We do. We are going to be giving away like a $500 Meijer gift card. And that's just one of many gifts that will be given. But it's important for us to recognize what's at our fingertips. So I appreciate you asking that. And again, 5:30 to 7:30 on April 9th.
Carrie, maybe you want to talk about last year's, because I know last year's was a big success, right?
It was a very big success, and thanks to Katie and the team, everybody pulled together. We had, how many volunteers, Katie?
Over 50.
And we expect more this year. We have people that have already stepped forward, and the students were very involved in it as well. We talked about it at the beginning, and I said to the team, be careful what you wish for, because you don't know how many people will show, and people just kept coming in, and the atmosphere was really electric. And there were so many activities, there was food, and there will be again this year. The feedback from not only the attendees, but from the people who came as partners and provided information was outstanding. And so we've learned that some of the other school districts in Genesee County are actually starting to look and say, how did you guys do this? And we'd like to know how to do this. So it's getting some attention. Katie and I were we were invited to attend the Rotary meeting last week, and there were people that were interested in how it was all assembled. And I don't want to fool anybody. This woman's working all the time, in addition to being a mom and a principal. She's has all the details pulled together, and it's actually pretty amazing. But people, like Jim said, people were able to have access to information that they didn't even know they needed it in some cases. It was all conveniently together. There were prizes that they could win. There were bikes for kids, and there will be again this year, just for folks that are out there. We've planned for the weather. We've planned for, I think, maybe some surprises. We have some folks from state government that will be here. So we're getting a lot of interest, but it's all been tied back to the attempt to improve people's wellness, behavioral health, a family's health, basically. So it's really kind of cool. I mean, even at the tables this year, there'll be reminders while people sit down to have their meal, reminders about how you can talk to each other at dinner. I mean, do people do that anymore? Really sit down and talk to each other? And you're eating and you're done. Well, it's a thoughtful way to sit down and have a dinner. So I would encourage any of the board members, if you can, or put it on your calendar and just stop in. It's just really, it's a great opportunity for everyone in the community. I mean, we've had good feedback from folks that were from our senior community, from our youngest dragons and those that aren't dragons yet. And it's just really, it was very gratifying to see all the folks there.
Thanks, Carrie.
Yep. I hope you can be there, Jack.
I'll try.
Yeah, I know Katie's nervous because the response from the partners is incredible, which is amazing. And where are we going to go?
About the table count, we might need more tables.
We'll get tables.
When you say dinner, we are having barbecue sandwiches for dinner. And when we say pick up food, you'll get like a week's worth of food. Just by showing up and talking to the participants, you get access to a week's worth of food.
And it's all free. I think we can't emphasize that enough. We want to make sure there's no barriers to anybody and get the word out there.
Childcare is free as well. The bounce house.
And lots of fun. A little loud, but really a lot of fun. Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, moving on. we probably took some of your thunder, Reese, but I'm going to turn it over to our student board representative for her report.
There's nothing left to say now, so thanks. It feels like I haven't seen you guys in a while, so I hope you guys are all doing well. The high school has been keeping steady as us students are all waiting for spring break, which can't come any sooner, which is right around the corner. On February 10th, Student Council put on the Coming Home Dance, which was very fun, and I know students appreciate our Student Council and everything that they do and organize. Continuing with Student Council, they're taking a group of 18 students to the state conference this Saturday through Monday. Miss Damon let me know that she would like to present to us after some of the highlights and just say the new things that they will take away from this conference. A new committee has been formed at the high school, which is now called the Graduation Committee. Miss Damon and Mr. Clark have selected a group of kids that they think will represent the class of 2024 as how their graduation will run this year. I think this is a great way to let students feel that their opinions are heard and that they have such a role in a big day for all the class of 2024 students. Lastly, for the high school, I would like to highlight one specific teacher in class. I would like to give a huge shout out to Mr. Fuller for all that he does for his students. Mr. Fuller runs a construction trades class as well as Law 1 and Law 2 classes. For this class, Mr. Fuller organizes field trips to the morgue, Flint Courthouse, as well as trips to the Oakland County Jail. This gives his law students an insight into how our legal system works, as well as a fun and interesting day. It sounds weird, but his passion about it is actually really inspiring, and it's really fun. I actually went to jail with Miss Mahalchik in the crowd, and it was actually a really great time, which sounds weird. While organizing all this, Mr. Fuller also runs a mock trial team who will compete against other schools in Genesee County on a real mock trial case. And with all that being said, Mr. Fuller could do all this without his love and passion and to teach students, and he's a great example for what Creek looks like in all teachers. So huge thank you to Mr. Fuller. Lastly, our elementaries are all gearing up to celebrate their 100th day of school, as well as Valentine's Day, Black History Month, and March Reading Month. I haven't said this before, and I'd just like to give a big shout out to Ms. Hunt for always giving me the rundown on what's going on at our elementaries, and that's it for my report this month.
Thank you, Reese. Any questions for Reese? Thanks for all the wonderful things that you do, and we are sorry that we stole some of your thunder, but we're so happy you're here.
It's okay. I had plenty to say, and thank you guys.
Okay, moving on. You did have information regarding non-certified staff employment in your packet. And let's go to the subcommittee reports. I can start with academic achievement.
Jessica, may I interrupt you just 1 minute? Or I'm sorry, Carrie?
Sure, Chuck.
Yeah, I'm sorry. These positions, are they new positions or are they replacement positions? Do we know that answer?
He's talking about the aides. The
think they
non-certified
would.
hires.
Hartwick, Zachary Hartwick is a maintenance tech. Did we have one leave last month? We weren't going to create new positions without board approval. I just want to know if,
I thought I saw an opening for the maintenance.
okay, replacement?
I saw an
Okay.
opening for it.
All right,
somewhere,
good.
yeah.
All right, that's all I'm asking. I'm good then. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Chuck. All right. Beginning with academic achievement, we met yesterday. Most of our meeting was focused on the 23G targeted tutoring intervention program that I reported on and our administrators informed us about back in November. We did get an update on that particular program. Currently, there are 27 tutors. Those are their teachers who are supported also by facilitators and coaches. And those teachers are being compensated for the additional work that they're doing in this program based and is supported by the grant. There's 13 elementary and 14 secondary who've also received advanced professional development. And there's 45 students that are participating, and that's half capacity for this semester. Is that correct, Jim? Our cohort 2 will start in the fourth quarter of this school year, this particular school year, 23-24. We talked about the VLC, and the goal there is to also provide that type of program for those students, but to engage them twice a week for 45 minutes, and it could be collective time that's gathered over that week versus a 45-minute period in total. The state has required that the program is going to be more based on data, so our assessment will include pre and post tests that are given to the students to measure their improvement and the impact of the program. And then the financial information is required related to this program is required to be posted on the district transparency page. We do and have in this is the second round of the targeted tutoring. We talked about barriers for students to be able to participate, and we believe that those have been removed, and they are continuing to be monitored. So for example, if a student doesn't have a ride, because these are after-school programs, to make sure that we're working on either getting them someone they can carpool with or assisting their families and being able to allow that student to participate, because we understand that that's so important for everybody to have that opportunity. The funding for this particular grant runs through this September 30th of 2025, and we did ask about any dollars that might remain. I don't know if they will, but if there's remaining dollars, can they be used for other purposes like the summer camp that's so wonderful that's hosted in the summer. The next agenda item we had was the K-5 reading materials extension that is on our agenda tonight. No, should be. The proposal is for extending the K-5 Reading Wonders program through the 24-26 school years. The team reported that Reading Wonders has been a viable curricular program for 6 years, and that that amount is about close to $35,000. Kevin also shared preliminary information on a writing program that's being piloted by the district, and they will have a recommendation for us closer to the spring. Additionally, we did look through the winter data walk. Jim went through the winter STAR Math and STAR Reading assessment and compared student assessments between fall, winter, and spring, between years and district and building and grade level. The good news is that when you look at reading for the fall and winter comparison for this year, we're seeing 62% in the fall and 70% in the winter for reading, and that's students that are at 40th percentile. And then for math, in the fall, they went from 49% to 53% students at the 40th percentile. So that's exciting. It's always great to see that improvement. I'm hoping that at a future meeting that Jim and team can come and chat about that data at this meeting, because I don't know if everybody gets as excited about the data as I do, but I think it's important for us as a board to see where we're seeing improvements, and especially tying it back to efforts to make it more effective learning for our children. Let's see, the Hanover Culture and the Climate Survey has an electronic online professional development replacement tool that the team is recommending that we consider for use, and it has been reviewed by the MTSS team, and there's other teams that have used it and found it to be better than what we're currently using. We had no public comment, and we did thank everybody for their time and presentations. And our next meeting is on the 19th of March. Any questions on that? It was a fun-filled meeting. All right, moving on. We have policy, Jack.
Sure. Yep, so next up, we had policy right after academic achievement. We started at approximately 5:15. Present was myself, Chuck, Andrea, Jim, Rod, Kevin Claren, and Michelle Dexter. We received a packet of updates from Troon on our policies. There were 11 updates in total. And in this packet, most of the updates were due to the laws that were passed by the state recently. A lot of it has to do with the unions and their collective bargaining agreements. There was a couple that weren't, but overall, most of it was. We went through it very thoroughly. A lot of it within the packet, which you have, by the way, a lot of it was mandatory language so that we're compliant with the law. There were a couple options if if the option was already in our policies, we pretty much stayed status quo with it. If it wasn't, we asked for best practice from Michelle, and I think we only had one or two that weren't. So we went with best practice according to Michelle and Rod on those. And tonight we're gonna do a first read of these. So you're gonna be able to take this home, read through them, get familiar with them, and then we will do a second read with them at our next meeting. And so then at that meeting, if you have any questions, concerns, you wanna go through anything, feel free to bring it up, or bring it to the next policy meeting, which I would also recommend, because it's probably better to bang those out at the next policy meeting, which will be Tuesday, March 19th. There was no committee comment, there was no public comment, and we adjourned at about 5:50 p.m.
Thanks, Jack. Can you remind everyone, as they're reading through this, what the blue, yellow, and
Yes.
there's another color, I think it's just maybe red.
Yeah, so the red text is text that Troon says you need to have in there so that you're compliant with the law. If it's blue, that means it's an option that you can choose, but you don't have to. So for instance, on this first one, you can see that there is red language and then there's blue language. The blue language we didn't end up adopting for some. So there'll be multiple in here that have blue language in it that's an option. For example, if you go to 4403R, that's the performance evaluation one, under the section 7, you can see it says choose one, and it'll say biannually or triannually. We ended up choosing biannually for that, and so we just leave out the triannually part. And then if, for instance, we were to choose to not adopt a policy, and we've done this in the past, we will just write intentionally left blank. And you can see an example of that on 4404, performance-based compensation for teachers. We did end up electing to go with this policy, but you can see in there that it says if the board does not elect to adopt this policy, delete the body of the policy and replace the title with intentionally left blank. And we've done that in the past, and you can look at our policies and see that. There is yellow text, maybe? Yes, so there's yellow text in 4409R, non-renewal. And I think the yellow text was just to highlight that we had a choice within the optional choice. So the actual blue text there is optional to adopt. If we didn't adopt that, the yellow wouldn't matter. Inside the blue is the yellow. That's the secondary choice, which if you choose to adopt the blue, you have to pick one of the options within the yellow. Like I said, most of this is mandatory language because of the laws changing with regard to collective bargaining agreements and union activity, but I would recommend getting familiar with these as well as the rest of our policies. And if you have any questions, concerns, send me an email, a text, whatever. Hopefully I get back to you, but we can definitely deal with that at policy meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack, and now everybody sees why I asked for that explanation. And I would encourage everyone to take some time over the next month to look at these, because there were a lot of law changes that will be represented in here that will become very important as we go forward. And so that's enough said. Anything else, Jim, that you wanted to add?
No, and we have a bullet coming up, just as a reminder that this is the first read, and obviously the next month you'll do your second and your adoption.
Okay. Sure.
Because there are so many that were optionals, and I know the guy left for the policy. I'm looking at Sue, because I'm like, is it possible between now and the second read, will we get an update so we know, or did I miss what we chose?
No.
The listing of what options we the policy, or
Right.
the committee?
Normally, we did go through it, and I have written down what we ended up deciding. But normally, we'll give it to you guys blank, so that way you guys can go through it. And if you guys, had an option that you would prefer that maybe the committee didn't prefer, obviously you would bring that to me and the rest of the committee, and then we would discuss that in committee or at the next meeting. And that's kind of just been what we did in the past. I can give you some of what we chose. Like I said, most of it we actually already had, if it was an option in here. But I can run
How
through these
about-
if you need.
May I ask, not now, as you said, to reach out, do you mind emailing it? So
For sure.
when I read through for my second time, I know what links the committee anticipates.
Yeah, I can do that. I'll send you all an email.
Yeah.
Because I was there and I'm confused, because we
Yeah.
talked about it, and what you want to see is a clean copy of what we've adopted at the
Or
committee.
what
meeting.
we're anticipating
Okay.
to adopt.
Yep, I'll send you guys an
Okay.
email tonight.
Thank you.
When you read the
Thanks.
blue, the yellow, and the red, it gets confusing. You explained them, but
Now
then
that
you-
we've seen it this way.
you've seen it this way, it becomes confusing. That's why Carrie asked about the colors, because they are confusing. So I think what Jessica's asking for is kind of like a clean copy without that. I don't know if we have that, do we? I mean, we
We
made the
can-
changes, but do we have it in writing already?
Not yet, no.
And we gotta really have it, because we're gonna do the second reading next month, and then it takes effect. Yeah. And you could keep this copy to refer to it, so, I mean, I don't know if Sue could do it or who's assigned to
What,
do that, but
what
somebody needs to.
Rod, yeah, what Rod, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead, Sue.
But what Rod does is he creates a spreadsheet of the policy number and the changes that they're gonna adopt, and it's attached to the second read, so you guys can discuss it in your meeting and discuss if you wanna adopt it or not adopt
Yeah,
it.
with the clean copy, with none of the other red, blue,
Well,
green.
no, it's all still on there. It's just with the change that the policy committee decided to adopt.
All right,
Yeah, I'm just asking for that sooner rather than
Right,
later.
right.
Yeah, that's all. Thanks a lot. Susan.
Because we would still want Troon's recommendation or
Right.
highlighted so
And
that
if
we
we decided
know.
something different, Jack can explain at the committee why we did that.
Right.
It's not like on the 2 and 3 year probation and some of those little intricate things. Good.
Especially where something is related to the law change, so
Yeah,
we
I think it just clears up.
have to make
the
sure
whole
we're
if we do it.
in compliance. Okay,
Thanks,
Thank you.
Sue.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to finance.
All right. The Finance Committee met on Tuesday, February 20th, and in attendance was myself. Chuck Melkey arrived late, and Andrea Fick arrived late. Carrie Germain arrived a little late. Rod Heatherton and Jim Kitchen and Jamie Cowan and R.C. Hunt were present. And from the public, we had Mr. Pobosic, and that started at 2:07 p.m. The minutes are cash and investment summary. The January report as of January 31st was reviewed and discussed at the board workshop on February 13th. I will go through those numbers for us now. As of January 31st, 2024, the general fund, oh, I missed a number.
Yeah,
Oh,
you sure did.
I know, hold on.
I'm just looking,
Yeah,
but
3 million. Yeah.
You have 303, yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
$3,376,697.82. Oh, I'm gonna have to check my math. I'm pretty certain that's right, though. Food service, $883,112.50. The student activity fund was $336,292.93. The debt service was $2,484,274.88. The capital project fund was $4,237,569.59, leaving the total cash and investments at $14,317,947.72. Additionally, the check register was reviewed, the January report was reviewed and discussed with no issues. And the next agenda item was workshop questions. Jamie Cowan provided an update and report from the board financial workshop last week. There is an attachment here. I will point out to the board that there's a hyperlink in here. There's an amazing document in here. And additionally, at the last, well, not the last minute for me doing the minutes, Jamie also sent a hyperlink for commonly used CEPI terms and acronyms when One of the things Chuck had asked about is a directory of what the acronyms all stand for. On, in your minutes in your board packet, there is a hyperlink for that. The next item was the 2018 closeout from bond work. We primarily just have paperwork and punch lists to do. There are 18 jobs left totaling less than $1 million in work. There was no public comment. Actually, I should take that back. Mr. Pavosik said we do a really good job, and the creek is much bigger than when he was here, and he's very impressed with the work that we're doing. So he did say that. I just didn't write it down. And then committee comments where there was recently Rod talked to the Metro Police because there's possible grant funding for another liaison where we would fund 90% of that position and have 2 positions funded at 75%, again, using grant monies. The next item that was just discussed, but not with any great detail, was the Alms Road gym. Tony Delgado mentioned it last month, that we used 90% of food service funds and 10% came from outside donations. And in a minute, we're gonna show you what it looks like because Travis is gonna show you with a video. There are no dues, or excuse me, there are no fees for any of the Swartz Creek High School courses in the 24-25 school year. The staffing discussions are just at the beginning for a possible grant coordinator, and we also discussed mediation options regarding a contractor issue. Our meeting ended at 3:18 p.m. and transitioned to operations, and our next meeting will be March 18th, 2024 at 2 p.m.
Thank you, Jessica. Any questions for Jessica?
How do we get these hyperlinks?
How do you get the hyperlinks? Well, in the board packet, in your board documents and the Google Drive. When you open that up, then when you open up my minutes, those hyperlinks will be there. But I bet we can make it even easier. I will forward your email to Sue, and Sue, you can just share that email with the document then with all the rest of the board members. Is that okay? Or you can dig into your board packet. It's a whole lot of fun. Yep. All right.
I make a motion, we accept the treasurer's report as stated.
I support.
We have a motion and second. Any comments or questions? Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Carrie Germain,
Yes.
Chuck Melkey,
Yes.
Jack Sayer,
Yes.
Jessica Lenave,
Yes.
Andrea Fick,
Yes.
Holly Jarvis.
Yes.
6 yes.
May I ask, can we segue before the operations report? Can Travis show the video, or would you like to report after the operations?
Why don't we see the video? I don't know if
That's what,
yeah. This is cool. This is Elms Road Elementary. Isn't it beautiful?
should we say, don't sweat it, other schools. We'll get there when we have the money.
Previews of coming attractions.
Did you get the one for the middle school? Do you want to show that real quick or not? Okay, then never mind.
Okay, maybe we'll do that next time. All right, thanks, Jessica. All right, Chuck.
Yeah, we transitioned from the financial committee meeting to the building and operations committee meeting at 3:18 p.m. on February 20th. It was located at the administration building. The meeting was called by myself, the chair. Present was R.C. Hunt, Jessica, Jamie, Rod Hetherington, Carrie, Jim Kitchen, Andrea Fick, and from the public was still seated Mr. Poposic, John Poposic. The first issue was Love the Bus Month. Jim already covered it. RC will be having a bus appreciation breakfast and snacks for the bus drivers and maintenance department that service the buses on this Thursday at the admin building. Prizes and gifts will be provided by RC and the administration staff for all the hard work the driver staff do and the dedication in ensuring the kids' safety. RC also formed the board, the committee board, that we have a near-perfect score for all bus maintenance issues related to the state police inspections because they inspect our buses annually. So he wanted to provide some thanks to them, and I'm sure the board all would say the same at the end of the meeting to thank them. Next thing was the 400 wing update. We allocated about $600,000 for the 400 wing about 3 months ago. It is currently 50% completed, and the halfway inspection will be performed this week or the beginning of next week by the Monday Township building supervisor there. We have had a couple small change orders already in the project, the biggest one being the asbestos removal at a cost of about $10,000, but we are still on budget for this project per RC and Jamie Cohen, our finance director. Next thing, out of order, were drinking fountains. The state has mandated new drinking fountains in all the buildings at a ratio of 1 per 100 students, and we'll be providing funding for this project. We currently exceed the ratio now and expect about 50 to 55 water fountains in total being replaced with bottle fillers instead of the bubblers, which we replaced bottle fillers back during COVID with grant money. The only thing I didn't know was if we're paying for the maintenance and installation or if the state was. I don't recall that. I know they're paying for the actual water fountains.
Our early understanding is they're paying for the full thing.
So they're gonna pay
That's
for
what
me.
it sounded like, yeah.
Install, retro.
The next item was the Mary Crapo bids. And the bid should be done by this Friday by Lurvy Construction and out by this Monday, and they will have them ready for the next board meeting for us to review. I just put a note to myself, and I would like them available by the next operations committee so we can review it ahead of time and have make recommendations. So you might want to tell Rob that, so when me, Carrie, and Jessica are there, and sometimes, some other board members show up, Andrea sometimes makes it occasionally, or Holly, so we can look at all the bids before coming to a general board meeting and maybe have some of it hashed out. That is open to the public. Next thing was the exterior bus cameras. The district is going to install and have new cameras on all of our buses outside on the stop swing arm. This will capture any violators, the people that pass on the stop, and may result in tickets being issued by the Metro Police Department. These cameras are paid for with a grant, so it's no cost to the school, but the maintenance crew will install them, so there's a low cost with our maintenance department installing them. The cameras will be both front and rear mounted, so they'll be able to capture vehicles going past the bus either way, and hopefully capture the driver's images also. And then we transitioned to, I believe, public comment. And John Proposic was there. He asked about Verizon cell towers and the possibility of getting more installed on properties owned by the school. And the board relayed per, I guess, RC and Travis's investigation, they currently don't have any desire to do that, although the issue's not completely closed, and Travis would know more about that than myself. Travis, anything?
Just as you know, the cell service in Swartz stinks. Some of it revolves around the tower over at the park being abandoned. Reached out to Verizon a few times and some kind of just crickets.
So that's it. That was what John Proposic had to say. Committee comments were, I asked about how many bus drivers do we currently have. RC, I believe, said we have 17, but could use one more. And he'll bring that back to committee. He's actively searching out bus drivers. I asked about the facility study, when that would be ready. He stated they should be done by the end of the month of February, and that we would be able to see some of that possibly by the next meeting in March. And Jessica asked about tennis courts, wanted to make sure they were ready to go for spring. RC stated he was getting them ready where some of the cracks are at, and was talking with the person that fixed them last fall. The next meeting date is on March 18th, 2024 at 2 p.m. at the admin building, and we adjourned.
Thanks, Chuck. Any questions for Chuck? It seemed like a lot more conversation than Chuck. Thank you.
You're welcome. Jessica was whispering to me. I was looking at you, but listening to her, I'm sorry.
It's those nerds. Folks may not know, but Chuck brings nerds to the meeting. I think it's appropriate. Okay, let's go on to, unless anybody has anything else they've remembered they wanted to ask.
May I make a correction?
Surely.
I did look up the cash and investment summary, and I was way wrong on those numbers, so let's make the correction. The general fund is at $6,676,000. That's why I double checked. $297.82. So that is the general fund number. Sue, I've already emailed you a corrected minute, minutes for that. So that is the accurate total. You can see it here.
I'll make an amendment.
Okay.
I'd like to
Deal.
amend my motion that we accept Jessica's corrected number. I believe the bottom number was right. She just had some of the other figures wrong. I don't wanna embarrass her. But the bottom number was right.
Okay, and you, Andrea, are you okay with that? Was that your second? Somebody's second? Who's second? Oh, Jack, okay. All right, cool. All right, so we have a motion and a second to amend the numbers as have just been reported. I'm going to ask Sue to do a roll call to be consistent with our financial numbers. Please, Sue, sorry.
Yes, no problem. Sorry, I was just writing down. Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
Holly Jarvis.
Yes.
Jack Sayer.
Yes.
Andrea Fick.
Yes.
Jessica Lenave.
Yes.
Carrie Germain.
Yes, okay, motion passes, thank you.
What'd you do with the money?
All right,
The $6 million.
next, we have board discussion items. And I think I'm going to turn this over to you, Jim, for our exciting Blueberry ambassadors.
Yes, at this time, we'd like to get an update for a service project that's taken place from Rebecca Pyle and our Blueberry ambassadors.
Hello,
Hello.
I am Rebecca Pyle, and I've been teaching in Swartz Creek for 23 years. And I'm a Swartz Creek graduate, and I raised my own 2 children in Swartz Creek, so community is very important to me. I love our community. This is one of my partners, Misty Camo and Jennifer Bertolite, and I'm going to give them a chance to speak in just a moment. I'm actually going to, the Blueberry Ambassadors are a group of 5th graders that do community service and things in their own schools and at their sister school, Moorish, to help out their peers and the community. So, but I am going to skip ahead because we asked some guests to come and they actually need to scoot. So I'm going to let Mrs. O'Connor, who, Jamie O'Connor is a parent, she's had 2 blueberries come through our program. She has 1 currently, and then she has a former, and she has an appointment. So I'm going to let her speak first so that she can scoot. This is parent perspective.
Good evening. I'm Jamie O'Connor, as she stated. Thank you for having us here tonight. This is my daughter, Amelia. As a parent, I believe strongly in the Blueberry Ambassador Program, and I'm so very thankful for these amazing teachers that continue to put forth their time and effort to make this program what it is. I feel so strongly about what they're doing that I have a current 5th grade Blueberry as well as a former Blueberry that has moved on to continue her journey of serving others in the community by joining National Junior Honor Society this year for 7th grade. And she was also selected as part of the new the Leadership Dragon Time that they've started at the middle school as well this year. While her Blueberry group was much smaller than the current group, almost half of that group is now either in that Leadership Dragon Time or they are in NJHS, and a couple of them are in both. So they're continuing on what they've got from the Blueberries and continuing it on in their middle school. The students go through an application process and must have a recommendation from a previous teacher in order to be considered for Blueberries. To both myself and my daughters, it was an honor that they were chosen to represent their school while volunteering in the community. This is something that Gracie had looked forward to since she was in 1st grade, and Amelia looked forward to since she was in kindergarten. It gave them something to work towards. It is rewarding those students that do well when they're in school. It is a chance for the students to give back to their community, as well as giving the students something to do that isn't a sport, well, minus the staff for students' 5th grade basketball game. Which, when my oldest was in 5th grade, they raised almost $4,500 for Whaley Children's Center to give back to them. The impact that that had, and the students knowing that they had helped other less fortunate kids in our community, was amazing. Some of the service projects, such as packing food at the Food Bank of Eastern Michigan, are big eye-openers for the students. It helps them to see that there is more out there besides what is in their own bubble. Spending a Saturday morning with other 5th graders and their families, sorting through donated food and packing the boxes, had a big effect on both my children. And after the first trip, they both asked if we could sign up for another session because they were able to see the impact a couple of hours of work could have. And for the two of them to not only agree on something, but want to work together towards something was a huge win in my book. The Blueberry Ambassadors helped the Elms Road and Morris Elementary PTO with Santa's Workshop back in November. The Blueberries came over to Morris to help the little ones shop for their families. The PTO had quite a few parents that were helping the little ones shop, but the little ones, they were the most excited to shop with the bigger kids. There is a bit of a disconnect not having the 5th graders in the schools with the little ones for the littles to look up to, but for this, the littles, they looked up to the Blueberries and didn't really want us shopping with them as much as they wanted the big kids to shop. This is such an amazing program that benefits the students as well as the community. The Blueberry Ambassador Program is a great example of the Good to Great hashtag I see all over the Swartz Creek Schools Facebook pages. Mrs. Pyle, Ms. Bertolite, Ms. Camo are running an amazing program that is helping our children to be better, kinder humans, and we can all use a little bit of a kindness. Thank you.
Thank you, Amelia. Amelia. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mom.
Yep.
So I have a question for you, Amelia. It sounds like you've been doing this in your sister's shadow for a little while, so you may have learned some things.
Yeah.
But I want to know what you've learned and how maybe this will make you do things differently in the future. What have you seen your sister do that you'd like to do? We're not as scary as we look. It's just friends up here.
We got to go to the animal shelter.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
There wasn't much that sister got to do because it was during 2021.
Right.
Yeah, it was during COVID stuff, so there's been quite a bit that she's gotten to do.
Did they do anything for the animal shelters? I mean, did they like raise some, like bring gifts and
What'd
stuff?
you
I
guys
think
do?
they did, because I went to the animal shelters right afterwards.
What'd you guys do?
We had a donation for pet food.
Yes, you guys did that. Gaines did it too. It contributed. You guys have done a lot for those
And
poor
because-
dogs and cats.
And because of how much they were able to bring to them, they got a special behind-the-scenes tour
Yes.
of the Humane Society, right?
Yeah.
What do you remember from that?
Like,
Oh, did you adopt one, really?
Well, we were there.
You're kidding me.
Is there a bunny? Yeah.
I think I've heard, well, no, there's been several, but I didn't know that you did. I know there's been several, because,
Shed some tears. I got to
Yeah.
hide behind Mrs. O'Connor and.
Really?
I adopted a bunny.
oh, you got one of the bunnies. You got one of the low-maintenance animals.
My husband told me not to come home with another dog, so
Oh.
I adopted a bunny.
Well, thank you. Every little bit helps.
Yeah.
So Amelia, how does it make you feel to know that you've either helped animals or you've helped other people? How does it make you feel?
it just makes me feel really good inside.
Good.
And you're going to encourage your friends to do the same. You do that all the time, right?
Yeah.
Good. See? Is this still an offshoot of Phil Schultz's original thing back in? Phil, I didn't see it. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Thank you, Amelia. Thank you, Mom.
Yeah. Great. I just wanted to make sure, because I remember this happening 12, 13 years ago.
While
when it
we are-
started. Thank you.
On this slide, I think that we should probably let our other people go. So I'm going to invite Senior Lauren Maddock, also a former Blueberry, to come and discuss her experience.
Hello, my name is Lauren Maddock. I'm a senior in high school now, but I participated in being a Blueberry Ambassador when I was in 5th grade. It was a great experience, especially at the age I was at, because it really opened my eyes about certain things. While being a Blueberry, I did random acts of kindness, including helping at the soup kitchen, donating to Whaley's Children's Center, and small acts of kindness such as talking to my next door neighbor for a few times a week or baking cookies and delivering them to people. The biggest takeaway I got from being a Blueberry was how such a small act of kindness can turn someone's world around. My next door neighbor, for example, was a widowed old man who always sat outside on his porch for hours alone. The smile on his face and amount of times he had thanked me for talking to him is something I will never forget. Also, working at the soup kitchen opened my eyes about how other people lived and how being kind to those people gave them the biggest smile ever. I will never forget the endless amount of thankfulness by just doing one small thing. I think that it's very important for kids that age and every age even to do something like the Blueberry Ambassadors because it helps you realize how important being kind is. People don't realize how important and simple it is just to be kind, and being a Blueberry is what opened my eyes and perspectives about that. It made me want to do random acts of kindness for people or organizations outside of the Blueberries because of the joy it brought me and other people. To this day, I still remember all of the acts of kindness I did for people and how it affected them, as well as me also. Being a Blueberry Ambassador really changed my perspective of things and showed me that the smallest things in random acts of kindness can mean more to people than you could think. And I will never stop doing random acts of kindness because being a Blueberry Ambassador showed me how important it is to be kind, show people that you are loved, that they are loved, and that the littlest things can turn someone's world around. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren.
Okay, now I'd like to invite Claire Mahalchuk. She's a Swartz Creek sophomore. And Claire and her little sister Quinn are going to share their perspectives on the Blueberry program and also siblings following and wanting to follow in their older siblings. Claire started off, and then Claire was followed by her brother Oliver, and then our little Miss Quinn that is in now followed in their big sister's footsteps.
Hello, I hope everyone has a great night. I'm Claire Mahalchuk. I'm a sophomore at Swartz Creek High School, and I was part of Miss Pyle's 5th grade Blueberries. Being a part of Blueberry Ambassador in elementary school has helped shape a part of who I am now in high school. The core beliefs of being kind, helping others, and volunteering are things that I value and will continue to do in the future. I made it a priority to help others when I can, not to be noticed, but because I believe it's the right thing to do. I have many memories of things my Blueberry Ambassador group did while at Moorish. We collected socks for Socktober. We donated to the Carriage Town. My group did a school-wide fundraiser that we were donated over $300 to the Veterans Service of Genesee County to help homeless veterans. I remember going to the Courtyard Manor in assisting living community and spending time with the residents. It was an amazing experience, and we were able to sprinkle joy and put smiles on their faces. This experience was leading up to me to my current career path, which is occupational therapy. Being a part of Blueberry Ambassadors was a rewarding opportunity. I'm glad both my brother and sister were able to experience this as well. Thinking of others, doing random acts of kindness, getting involved in the community, and spreading joy can make someone's day. Helping others is good for your health, so remember always to spread kindness and make it the norm. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's okay. You can pull the mic down if you need to, too. Tip it down. There you go.
Hi, my name is Quinn Balmer, like she already said. Being a part of the Blueberry Ambassadors is an honorable association. We do meet a few times a month and explain and share ideas on how to help others. This year, we were able to go to the Humane Society. We had collected all kinds of donations for all sorts of animals. We were given a tour and told what they do for the animals that come in. I was able to read a book to a dog named Wally. It made me sad to see all the animals without a home, but made me realize how much the volunteers and donations helped them. Another thing we have done this school year is going to Christmas caroling. It made me joyful to see all of the elderly people listening to our songs we had sung to them. Sprinkling joy into their Christmas made mine even better. We have gone to the food bank to pack up food to people who didn't have enough or didn't have enough money to get food. It made me think about how lucky I am to have all sorts of things these people don't. But it made me appreciate how important it is to be a Blueberry. It is important to think and help others and try to help when you can, because you never know when you may be the one needing help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna back us up. What a great job. She wrote all that. Her mom just told me that she wrote all that herself. Nice. So I'm so proud of them all. Thank you so much for coming and speaking this evening. Okay, we started our program 9 years ago, and we have, we started with 15 blueberries, and we have, every year I try to talk Mrs. Birdlight into taking more, and we're up to 25 this year, our biggest group. So I'm going to let Mrs. Birdlight let you know how we got started.
So, as Mr. Melky said, I think it was 2013, and I remember specifically seeing this billboard. I think it was on like 69 and 75, and you know, at the time I got the Flint Journal. So the Flint Journal was like, what is this billboard about? I mean, it was like, say no to drugs, or environmentalists about the blueberries. I mean, and then Mr. Schultz came ahead and said, kind of told his story, and very briefly I'm going to tell his story, but his wife and himself were on an Alaskan like 3-week, well, if anybody doesn't know, Mr. Schultz is an entrepreneur. He's a business owner. He's founded the Flint Diaper Bank. I think he's on the Hurley board. So he's an entrepreneur, is an investor in many businesses in the city of Flint. So him and his wife were on this Alaskan cruise, and they took an excursion for the day. And there was all these college tour guides. So Mr. Schultz, because he's very personable, started talking to one of the tour guides, and he said to this young 21-year-old, how's your day going? And the kid said, not so hot. And he's like, why not? You're a tour guide in Alaska. Like, what could be wrong? And this kid said, well, I'm concerned about the blueberries. And Mr. Schultz said, what are you talking about? And he said, well, there's a drought, and I'm very concerned that there won't be any blueberries. So Mr. Schultz kind of said to his wife, this is kind of odd that this young kid's worried about blueberries. But then he went back and reflected, and he said, gosh, we all have blueberries in our life that bother us. They could be physical, they could be financial, they could be emotional, but we all have little blueberries that bother us. So he decided to come back to Genesee County and start this movement. So he started with the billboard as kind of like something to talk about, and then a couple weeks later he said, I want to get kids involved. So it started with 6th to 12th graders, and I believe at the time when Mrs. Pyle and I, and at the time Mr. Culver, it was the three of us. I think Mrs. Camo's been with us for 3 years. But he wanted people to do random acts of kindness, because he said, you know, if you do random acts of kindness, you can really take away some people's blueberries, some people's problems. So at the time, we would have big pep rallies, and his whole mission was to pay it forward. So if I did something nice, like if Lauren went and talked to her neighbor, and we didn't have to spend money, we didn't have to do anything, then you were to give them a card that said, I'm concerned about the blueberries, and on the back it explained it, hoping that they would pay it forward. So, you know, at this time, the Flint Journal was out, and all of our kids got published in the Flint Journal because they had to write up what their moments were. I think we called them blueberry moments. And you know, our kids did stuff from taking out the trash of a neighbor's yard to actually doing fundraisers and cleaning out their closets and, you know, donating their clothes. And it was a wide array of things. So after COVID, it kind of stopped. But we decided to continue doing it, just in a little bit different way. What we did was, you know, we always, when we started, went out into the community and did community things. We think it's important for kids to see the bigger picture and to find ways that they can give back to their community. So random acts of kindness, yes, but we also like to take them to organizations to see what their passion is, what they're interested in helping in the future. So, everything's a little different now, but we have an application process. So we go talk to the 5th grade classes at Elms, and we tell them what it means to be a blueberry, and we hand them the application if they're interested. The application just asks simple questions. Why do you want to be a blueberry ambassador? What kind of things would you like to do if you were? And then we also ask for an adult recommendation, a teacher, a pastor, a coach, something like that. And then we do have the parents fill out a parent commitment form because we do ask parents to, when we do weekend events, to accompany their kids, that it's a family affair. So as some of them said, we did the food bank, we asked for families to come. The next 3 weekends, we're at the North End Soup Kitchen. We're asking for it to be a family affair so that they all come together. Do you want to do this one?
So, yes, Mrs. Birdlight and I have been doing this for 9 years, and we have had 150 students come through, and we've raised over $30,000. These are just a few of the places that we have supported or volunteered. North End Soup Kitchen, I won't name them all, but most recently, the Humane Society. This weekend, we visit the soup kitchen. We've already been to the food bank in December. And we have our big charity basketball game to fund or to donate the proceeds to Whaley. So, okay. And there's our, okay. You get to have that.
All right. So I get the fun job of just sharing with you some pictures of past community projects that we've done. You'll see we've got kids in here that have graduated and are already in college on this screen. But like we said, a couple weeks ago, one of the things we did was go to the Humane Society. And so the kids at Elms Road and Moorish collected a ton of food to take with us, dropped that off, got to tour the whole facility. Tears were shed. People wanted to adopt some animals. But also the kids got to pick a pet and go sit and read with them. Very, very sweet thing to watch. In the other picture, you'll see Stella Mellish and Carter Pyle, both in college now, working at the soup kitchen, making sandwiches. My very favorite thing to do is working at the soup kitchen, so I can't wait for these next 3 weekends with our kiddos. Other community projects, we've raised a lot of money for the Food Bank of Eastern Michigan. This was back in 2017, before I got to be part of this, raised $3,415 for the Eastern Michigan Food Bank. And then the picture on the right is our group from last year that came to Moorish to help our kiddos shop at the Santa Secret Workshop. Here's the Humane Society, all the food collected and all the kids that went with us. Other Blueberry moments we have, which I think Mrs. Birdlight will talk about. We have our basketball game coming up, and this is a picture of Mrs. Sorter and her little guy Bryce, who is actually in my first grade classroom this year, so he's a lot bigger than that. And then we have a picture when, this was quite a few years ago actually, my daughter's a senior and she's in that picture, when she was in 5th grade. We collected toys and money for Toys for Tots. And in the bottom picture, we have a group that went with us to the food bank to help sort and package food. Oh, is this still me? Oh, and this is over to the left. There I am. That's me and my daughter when she was in 5th grade playing basketball. Up at the top, raising money. We raise, I think for the past few years, and including this year, we are raising money for Whaley's Children's Center again. It's one of our big checks. And then you'll see just the staff and students have such a great time. This is our just the best thing. The Blueberries cannot wait to get to this basketball game every year. And then here's just a picture of our staff here at the basketball game. You'll see at the bottom, we charge admission. We have a 50-50. We do a free throw contest. There's concessions. Baskets are donated by the whole staff and the community. The kids will go out into the community and ask for donations from local businesses and that. This particular game, the average is $3,700 each year for this charity. And this is a charity, I think, close to all of our hearts. It's just, you know, these kids who are in this home and they don't get to do all the things our kids get to do. So we raise this money so that they can be kids.
And we would like to invite you all to come to the basketball game. It's April 18th at 6 o'clock at Swartz Creek High School. All proceeds benefit Whaley, and I kind of, what Misty said is, you know, I don't know, is that on the next slide? Oh, yeah, it is on the next slide. So the first 2 years we did the Food Bank of Eastern Michigan, we did the backpack program because some of our kids were benefiting from that. Then the next year we did New Hope Pet Rescue. I believe we had a staff member who had gotten a pet from there and really liked the organization. And then the last 5 years we've kind of taken Whaley as our organization. I think our kids relate with that. I think they can understand it. And we always ask the money we're raised be used to let kids be kids. So in the past, the Whaley representative will come accept the check, talk to our kids about what the money's used for. It's used for prom dresses, it's used for sporting equipment, it's used for things for the kiddos to do in the summer when they're not at school. Go to Michigan Adventure, go to the movie, and the Whaley rep's always so good about talking to our kids about, you know, things that they do that kids nowadays expect. It's really a privilege, and the kids that live at Whaley don't have that privilege, so these extra fundraisers we do affords that to them. So it's really eye-opening for our kids. So, but we'd love for you guys to come. It's April 18th. The kids put on quite a show, and it is comedic, to say the very least.
Okay. So besides what we've already mentioned, other duties of a Blueberry would be all of our recycling from both schools, Alms and Moorish. They fill all our little libraries. They participate in the staff versus students charity basketball game, even if they don't want to play. They volunteer at the concession stand or help people at the door, or things like that. They also work on building up their peers. So one of the examples is we talked about building up words and pick-me-up words, and they made little sticky notes and left them all over the school, on the mirrors, on the coat hooks and things like that, like, you're beautiful, have a great day, you're a good friend, things like that. So building up our peers. And then shopping with the little Moorish kiddos at the Secret Santa workshop. Here's just some photos for you to enjoy. The kids reading to the animals, and the animals look like they're really watching those books, which cracks me up.
Kids wanted to take an animal home, and the parents were like, no way.
Okay, just a quote that I love. And this picture at the top, my son Carter Pyle, who is at college now, and his best friend Mason Redlich, they were our first group of Blueberries, and they come back every year and referee for us. So we have Blueberries that come back and help out. And then the Humane Society and the Food Bank at the bottom, more basketball moments, and then more kids reading.
And as you can see, Abby Greer, Mrs. Hunt's daughter,
Yes.
is in our group this year.
Who's here?
She's here with us.
Yes. We were told that day when we worked at the food bank that we were going to be on Good Morning America. And I didn't catch it, but that's what they were there filming, so. Okay. And then we've in the 9 years, we've faced some hurdles. COVID was a big hurdle. So we just involved kids by having them do things in our schools, like clean up the school grounds, recycle, things like that. But we couldn't get them out into facilities because they weren't allowing it. So that was one hurdle. And another hurdle was when we reconfigured schools. We're 3 teachers from Moorish, and we're lower L, so K2. And we are supporting kids in 5th grade, so a different school. We worked it out. I want to give special thanks to Mr. Suhanik and all the Elms Road staff for always supporting us and meeting us with open arms, because together we, can still run this program. Their secretary over there, Lisa, is a rock star, and she keeps us updated on everything and is so wonderful to us. So. And along with Mrs. Hunt, who lets us leave every once in a while to handle some Blueberry business and supports us in that way. We appreciate it. Thank you for inviting us. This is our first time
Thank
being able to
you.
talk about our program, and as you can see, it's important to us, so.
Thank you very much. And thanks for bringing folks to talk to us. And thank, Lauren? Thank you too. Great representation of the impact of this program, which, oof.
Thank you. Yeah.
And Mary, I just want to say, when we're talking about our connections night, and we talked about it this morning, this is how we get to be reciprocal and go back, right? We talk about like Whaley's is coming on the night, the food bank is coming on the night. So now we're building that partnership, and these groups are going back and going back to them, right? So it's all about building that community partnership, and what better way to do it and fostering it in our K-5 building, right? Abigail and I think Quinn are both of those student leadership programs at Elms. They're Blueberries and they're on the student leadership team. And she looked at me tonight and said, I'm gonna be sitting there next. And so, like, that's how we start fostering some of this stuff is down here. And speaking of the siblings, like Eleanor is in second grade. She's getting ready to go to Moorish. We can't forget about those partnerships with our, even though we reconfigured, like we still share those families, we still share those siblings, and those things are important in whatever capacity that they look like, right? And giving back to those agencies that are coming to support us on the night. And these three women are incredible. They're targeted tutors, they are Blueberry people, they are full-time instructional leaders in my building, and I cannot say enough good things about these three women because they go above and beyond every single day and knock it out of the park. So I'm very appreciative to my entire team at Moorish. They are dynamite all day long. I told them this morning, I put them up against anybody in the state, and we probably mouth the floor because we're that good.
Well, thank you. Thanks so much for that. So I'm going to open up the floor for questions and comments in a second, but one thing, do you track the service hours for the students so that when they get into National Honor Society opportunity that they have that, or Junior Honor Society, they have that all documented for them? Because that's not really the thing they're thinking of when they're in
We don't.
elementary school.
So Mrs. O'Connor, her seventh grader, came to the food bank and had me sign off on something saying that she was getting hours for National Honor Society. No, but our kids know, they can always come back and ask us, you know, but no, we don't track that.
Because I don't know the process, I can't remember what NJHS process was for our kids, but I think they did ask about service hours, right? And saying, who did you work with? And I don't know if they got to the level of detail of hours, but I know that that's important, and people aren't always thinking about that while they're in the midst of the activities.
Sure.
Second question, do you have money that you can use to support your fundraising efforts? And it may not be so much that, you know, maybe it's for food to feed the volunteers or the kids, or it's other means that, you know, you have to make sure that kids can participate.
So another hurdle was, we had a relationship, Elms Road, admin changed, and we built a great relationship with the new principal, and he's been wonderful to us. We had a great relationship with Dave, who was there, and he bought the kids pizza, quite a few times, and that was really cool. They loved that. But PTO since then has, started a small fund for us.
Okay.
So we have that, and then we raise funds, or we have the kids bring in, we have dinners, so like we'll have a Christmas like buffet, and the kids will all bring in a little something and we'll have a little dinner just while we're doing a service project.
Yeah, and our staff, as far as the basketball game, is so generous. The Elms and Moore staff are so generous. We have these baskets that we raffle. Each grade level takes a theme, so kindergarten always takes, what do they take?
We do like,
Like a
campfire night.
Campfire, so,
Family
you know.
campfire night.
And then all of our blueberries, we ask for them to get donations out of the community. So we like local places, places that they patron a lot. And then we give them a shout out at the basketball game that, you know, these local businesses had donated. But, I mean, these baskets each are probably worth $100 to $150 just based on staff donating. So, yeah.
We couldn't do it without the staff.
Yeah.
And Elms Road, they
Well, you truly are the unsung heroes, you and your students, because this is amazing. I've followed it over the years, but to hear it from you is really special.
And we had heard from the representative from Whaley last year that we're the only school in Genesee County still doing it.
Oh, really?
That's what Mr. Schultz has a partnership with the lady at Whaley. I
Yeah.
can't think of her name right now. And he was pretty proud. He was going to try to make it to the basketball game, but because of a business obligation, he wasn't able to make it. But we are the only school in Genesee County still doing it.
That's even more impressive.
I had heard that he wants to come to one of our last meetings and buy ice cream for our kiddos.
Oh,
and,
that would be
just
so
celebrate.
sweet.
I have a question,
Excited to hear that someone's kept it going when it all kind of stopped during COVID.
Well, Carrie, may I? I know Phil.
No, you do?
Yeah, I've known him for years, and he's a great guy, like you said, very kind man. Some of his kindness, a little bit's rubbed off on me, not much, but a little. And I am so impressed with your guys' presentation today. It really touched me. Two is, I think the whole board is, I think we would support anything within reason to help you continue the program or make it even a little larger. Because if we're gonna do it, since how we're the only ones, we might as well be the best. If anybody tries to get in the game, always want to be the best. And I want you guys to continue it, and any support that you guys need, please reach out to Jim or Rod through Carrie and get it to the board, or you can contact us directly on email. And I think none of us up here would ever turn anything down like that. And I think you need to increase it, and I'm willing personally to help you guys increase it, because I think you guys are doing God's work. It's good work, helping them kids and animals. Thank you. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart.
Yes, thank you. I know that we have had a middle school program before, so anytime, we'd love to get middle school teachers.
I would love it.
To start it up, and then.
And high school.
Mrs. Hunt actually has an idea to start up blossoming blueberries and have the second graders, because they are the oldest in our school.
Mhm.
Like a mini program, and we can even have our blueberries come over and help build that program up.
And I like the idea that the other kids are supporting the Blueberry kids, because that shows a cooperation and it attracts other kids. You guys are doing great.
Thank you.
I'm so impressed.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you.
I had a hard time when Amelia was up there. I just didn't want to pick on her, but I wanted her to be able to express what it means to her to be part of this and to kind of look up to her sister as well. So it's just a great testament to what you're working on.
Quite a few set of siblings come through. Quite a few set of siblings, yeah.
Amelia, you did a great job. She'll have to watch the video so she knows. Everyone did a great
did all
job,
of
but I know that was a little bit challenging at first.
I have just a quick question. So at the end, is there like a crossover ceremony, like when they're done? No.
For the first couple of years, they would go to the middle school.
Mhm.
But no, we have a celebration at the end. I mean, the basketball games are a big celebration. All the kids are so excited about it. And it's so, if any of you can make it to the basketball game, I held it together today. Like when Lauren was talking, I'm like, okay, don't cry. But the basketball game, I will cry, because
Really?
there are some kids that have never touched a basketball before that are playing in that basketball game that make a basket, and their team goes wild for them. And that's every single year, that's how I lose it. And it's just so, I mean, you remember the basketball game, don't you? I mean, I had Carter Pyle tell me it was the best experience of his entire school career, was that basketball game. And that was the first year. So, and they don't always win. No, they don't always win. You guys lost. Yeah, you did. So no, there's no officially crossing over, but we've had kids like go to middle school that want to apply for student council, and we've written letters of recommendation and things like that for them.
Okay.
Thank you for keeping the program alive. I didn't realize we were the only school doing it.
Yeah, that's what we heard.
That's amazing.
Can I make one comment? So I used to go to Grand Blanc, and I was also a Blueberry, but I'll just tell you guys, what we had there was nothing like what you guys are doing. Like, really, what you guys are doing is great work, and I wish I had that. And really, like, I'm not gonna like toot my own horn, but being here isn't because of like accomplishments or your grades. It's really because of being kind to others And, you can be here and you're on the right track, and being Blueberry and doing kind acts is really what gets you these things in life. So I just want to say thank you to you guys.
Did you hear that, Abby? Okay.
Carrie, can I ask a quick question? Just out of curiosity, your first question, and aside from getting recognition from it, do you have any idea how many volunteer hours have been put in over the years?
No, if I really sat and thought about it, unfortunately, we probably had 2 years where we couldn't go into the community.
Sure.
Maybe, I mean, it was a while, but especially like Portland Manor, they didn't open up for a long time. And our kids love to go Christmas caroling, and we make them ornaments and cards, and we always make sure we can visit with the residents there, and it's really a sweet time.
I guess I would think over 9 years and the number of kids and the number of activities, that's like thousands of hours.
And we get good, we have whole families come. So, for like the soup kitchen we're going to for the next 3 weekends, we ask no younger siblings. 5th grade's kind of, did you do the soup kitchen? Okay. 5th grade's at that point where, you have to be pretty socially mature 5th grader to handle the soup kitchen. So we ask that no younger siblings come to that. But like the food bank, I think we said anyone 7 and up in a family could come, and we packaged, 16,000 meals in a 3-hour span. And we did that over 3 weekends also.
I'll say 3 things, if I may. Number 1, I really love the idea of the 2nd grade, the blossoming blueberries, right?
We're toying with it. We have a teacher that wants to
Right.
take it on, and we had a couple kiddos that came and did the board presentation with you.
Sure.
So we're working on it.
So it's fine, and it just got me thinking about, because I think it was something in academic achievement that we were talking about, where it just, and with COVID, that it's just tough when you're in middle school, right? And aside from doing something because of National Honor Society or Junior National Honor Society, this seems to me like something different to help people, if we can do it as well, something in middle school where it is about just the service, not necessarily accumulating the hours. I know that helps, obviously, but like even at times my kids have like, yeah, I'll help you with that, because I can get credit for it. And there are other times where they're like, no, I just want to help and do it. And to continue to foster that, I want to help just to do it, I think is really important, no matter what grade. And then in high school, because, high schoolers and, you can get really self-absorbed then. But you can get self-absorbed anytime. No. But anyway, that's not fair to high schoolers. I say that because I have one. But anyway, what I really want to say is all throughout. And I remember, and it was funny seeing Lauren, the pictures up there way back when, and seeing Jacqueline was in that picture tonight, was sitting here as part of the cheerleading, and just those kids and how far they've come, and the impact, again, that it's not just made in their life, it's made in our community, and not just in the Creek community, as you've already talked about, right? It's that rippling effect of caring for somebody else. And it is, Ms. Hunt said, that she'd put you guys up against anybody, and you've been rocking it out for 9 years, so thanks a lot for being awesome. That's all.
Sorry. Is there something like, I know that, when there's, in middle school, I don't know in elementary, but, there used to be a trophy case, or there used to be photos that line the walls of teams or whatever. Could there be something like that, or a plaque with their name of each year of whoever was on that Blueberry Ambassador that could be hung in the school as a remembrance of, sorry, don't do it. Is that something that could exist, since they are giving so many volunteer hours?
Absolutely. It would just be building initiated. The program coming basically from Morris, they could absolutely highlight that.
Okay.
Great idea.
Yeah, we could build a blueberry case. That's easy peasy. We like doing stuff like that.
Okay, make it happen. Good idea, Holly.
So thank you again. Please give our regards to the Blueberries. Okay? And I know that we'll be seeing them in some capacity as they go through the educational program here in Swartz Creek. We might even be shaking their hands and congratulating them at commencement. Right, Reese?
Do we have them come to a board meeting?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how many there are.
I mean,
She said 25.
So
it's the cheer team. Just saying.
So I think our first year, would we have maybe 12?
Yes.
We had maybe
And
12.
then moved up to, I talked to him to 15.
Maybe
So
they
now we
should
have
come to-
24-ish, 5 -ish.
20, and then this year I was like, let's just get a few more.
It's, you know, it's, if you have good recommendations from adults and you have a good application, it's hard to say, you know, the kids just want to do good, that we can't, but at a certain point, it's hard to manage so many kids, you know?
Right.
And that's one reason when we go out into the community, especially, food bank and soup kitchen, is their family needs to be there, just because we want it to be a family affair and to have them giving together, but it's also hard to manage all those
You know,
things out.
you know, and Carrie, indulge me just one second, Jim. Maybe we should have them come to a board meeting
Well, just
and
said-
shake. I mean,
what
I
I
know
just
that, and have the plaques, but yeah, get them here, because we have all the other organizations coming. I didn't even, they need to get in here so we can all shake their hands and hug them and
So
tell
what
them what a great
we'll-
job they're doing.
We'll leave it up
ASAP.
to you
Yeah.
folks to organize that and to identify some options maybe.
Maybe
And
after
we
the
can,
basketball game, we could say how much we raised.
right, that would be great. And to see those shining faces
Yeah.
and how much fun they had and to recognize them and you for the work that's being done. That would be great. Thank you so much for being here.
Make that suggestion.
Chuck says I should make a suggestion.
I told her, she said I made enough.
Can we get the past years? Can we get all the kids and thank them? Or send out that invite to see the impact that they've made? Manifest?
Calling all blueberries?
Yeah.
I'll cry on that.
If you do, it's all good. They're tears of joy and gratitude.
And you know what, and May would be better, because our first set of kiddos are at college, so May would probably be better.
Have some of them come back, maybe? That'd be wonderful.
That would be so cool.
That'd be perfect, because the board meeting is the night before your basketball game in April. So you wouldn't be able to tell us what you made until May anyways, so.
That's right, yeah, May's perfect.
All right, well, think about it.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you again. Thank you. Abby, we'll see you here too, right, someday? Okay.
Carrie, they need a board member to sign their homework, so can one of you will sign it?
The secretary.
Oh, that's true. That's Andrea will do it.
Yeah, you two will sign it right now for you.
Yeah, you can sign it.
Appreciate that very much.
What if they get,
I do like to make sure you get it. Yes. All right, Jamie, good luck, girl. Thanks. You're gonna rock it. I feel really good about this right now. So confident you don't need to stay and watch. No, I don't even need to stay and watch it, because I know you're gonna nail it. Unless you want me here.
I appreciate all your support always. Thanks, Katie.
Thank you.
Pretty tough act to
ladies, how
follow,
was it?
though. I'm telling ya.
Yeah,
thanks for being here.
You were bored. That's right. Come on, I gotta go home.
That's what.
Yeah. Go out, drink, party, do all my good stuff. Okay, we're wore out. Maybe out here by 8. Is that
Thank
okay?
you.
All right.
Because you
Carrie,
want to, or
Yes.
I'd
because
like to
you
make
have
one motion
Sure.
to cancel the book study tonight, maybe push that off for another week. We start, well, let's see how Jamie does. You got 3 minutes, Jamie, go now.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
You've heard how fast I talk.
Yeah. Go ahead, sorry. Maybe we'll wait.
We'll
after
see
you-
how we're looking.
Yeah, we'll see how,
Okay.
okay, that's fair.
All right. Okay, so we are now going to have a fine presentation from Jamie Cowan, our wonderful business official, and the budget amendment. Did you have anything else you had to introduce? So, thank you, Jamie, for being here, as always.
Thank you for
Floor
having
is
me.
yours.
I appreciate it. Again, as I already mentioned, a hard act to follow as far as the blueberries. This will be brief because we did a lot of in-depth conversation at our board workshop, which I relish in the conversation and all the learnings from both ends.
So the budget amendment, as I mentioned, is just an ongoing thing that we do. At this time, I want to do two things. I want to adopt debt service and capital projects, which is not mandatory to do so. I think it's best practice, and I want to move in that direction. But at this time, very standard, we have the opportunity to amend the budgets for the mandatory budgets that we are responsible for adopting preliminarily back in June. That is food service and student activity, which are school service funds, and our general operating fund. So I'm going to start with the debt service and capital projects ads. And as I mentioned previously, we have 3 capital projects funds. We have 41, public improvement, which is money that is transferred from general fund specifically for capital projects. It goes one way. Sinking fund is a millage that we collect a tax base specifically for projects in the community. And 2018 bond fund, which was a bond that we sold, collecting tax dollars to support that and service that debt as well. So as per my standard process, when I do a budget amendment, I'm always going, where were we last and where are we going? Having 2 points of data is always helpful for reasonability and connecting the dots. So for the ones we're adopting for the first time, I'm going to start where we left off, which was the audit. So debt service fund 31, last year's final audited figures. Very simple fund. We received, again, tax base. We actually have an IRS subsidy for one of the bonds that we sold, the last one, the one that built the PAC, and we transfer in money from the sinking fund to service that same bond debt. So our total revenue is just over 4.9. These are actual expenditures again, and then the revenue is just principal and interest, and maybe some tax adjustments for ones that changed. Status, for example, primary residence, things of that nature. And what we did was we saw an ending audited fund balance in debt service of $934,108. From that point, I can show you what the proposed budget should be for this year. Again, we estimated the taxes, the subsidy, the amount we're transferring in to service that debt, and we start with our audited fund balance. And with that information, we show a projected ending fund balance of just under 1.5 million. I'm going to go through and I'm just highlighting here that those are the same, just to follow the comparison. Now doing the same exact dance for the 3 capital projects funds. Public improvement being the first one. Again, our audited results. The money comes from general fund, so we get a little bit of interest, and we get the transfer from general fund. This is the way it ended last year, audited. And then we have projects that we spend that money on. We had a beginning fund balance because the year before that is when the fund was first started, and an ending audited fund balance of just over 1 million. Transfer that to the plans for this year, and again, same kind of deal. We have a little bit of interest that we're going to earn. We're replacing that $750,000 transfer from general fund to continue the work and keep our facilities fresh and vibrant. And that gives us a total revenue of $750,000 plus. Total expenditures is lined up to say we have the ability to spend all the money in that fund. Therefore, the ending balance would be 0. Again, that is so we have the authority to spend all of the dollars in there. The plans develop over time. And again, just to share again that audited figure gets transferred over to the beginning of the subsequent year. That's how we start. Sinking fund, as I mentioned, is money collected from a taxpayer initiative that the voters passed. And we get money from that as well as a little bit of money from the state. Total revenue is just under 1.7. Total expenditures, again, depending on the projects, the timing of the projects, that's always estimated. This is actual, and we ended up with an audited fund balance of just under 2 million. Transfer that same information. What does this year's budget look like? So it's in the books. Similar tax base, little increase because property taxes have gone up. And again, the ability to spend all the available resources is why the total expenditure is utilizing all of the new money as well as the existing money from the prior year's final audit. The last fund for capital projects is the 2018 fund. We heard that mentioned in the finance and operations reports. So last year's audited results were just showing a little bit of interest and just to spend down on all of those plans that we had let, just wrapping up projects. I think we stated there's 18 projects and they're really just punch list and paperwork. So all the work is done. They might just have to repair a piece of carpet or something of that nature and fill out some paperwork, all to make sure that the steps are appropriately closed out. And that fund started off just under 2.5 million. This year we're going to earn a lot less because again the money is dwindling down, excuse me. And again, the expectation that we're going to close out that fund. Will it be this year? I would hope, but again, it could be a timing issue, but either way, we have the ability to complete all of those initiatives and spend down that fund and quite soon close it out. So now I want to go to the meat, the piece that you're used to seeing on a regular basis, and that is a revisit about mid-year, January, February timeframe, where we go back and look at the preliminary budgets and say, what do we know now that we didn't know then? We know what the state is paying us. We didn't know that in June. We know now how many students we have. We didn't know that in June. We know a lot about the state budget in terms of a bunch of categorical grants that the state has given us, which ones we've been able to get, how we're spending it, all of those various budgets. So that's the meat of why we do this reset, because there's a lot of changes that have happened, and we want to make sure that we're appropriate in having the budget approved before we go too far into the year. So those three areas are, again, the first two being school service funds, food service, student activities, and then our operating fund, which is general fund. I'm going to start with the easier ones, like I did last time. So food service is Fund 25, and again, I like to use 2 points of data for comparison. This point of data is going to be the preliminary budget that we adopted in June, not the audited actual results, which back in June, I used that as my starting point. So this is what it looked like when I came in June, just 2 months shy of working here. Now I'm just shy of a year. So this is what it looked like when I first presented it to you, but right now we already know that's changed because I was estimating how the books were going to land. Now I know how the books have landed. So I just revised what the original would have looked like, changing nothing more than replacing that beginning audited figure. Now roll forward to the amended budget, and I've only refreshed a few things. I haven't had a lot of time to spend on food service. Tony and I are continuing to work on that fund because there's a lot going on. Some of the figures that we did change, as you can see, the state line and the total expenditure line. The state line changed because the governor passed her budget, which included universal breakfast and lunch feeding. We didn't know how that was going to land, and again, the budget wasn't passed at the time when we adopted this back in June. They've also increased the 31D, which is an annual amount of state food service support, and we've applied and received a 10-cent grant for fresh fruits and vegetables to be added. In addition, we're still working on our spend down plan, which is a wonderful problem to have, and I've increased with collaboration with Tony, I've increased the expenditures $223,000 for salary adjustments and additional intentional spend down initiatives, such as the painting job that was displayed earlier. And again, that brings us to a fund balance of 34%. When it comes to school food service, we also talk about the level of the fund balance and whether we are in excess and we have too much. Yes, this plan still shows too much. It shows just under $58,000 too much. But again, I said I'm still working with Tony on making sure, digging into the budget. So before the final, and possibly with the new protocol I was introducing at the workshop, you'll see that kind of dialogue in more detail before the amendment, the final amendment. Roundabout. Well, Well, the salary adjustments for the most part are just steps and, because I make an estimate and then I share it up with reality. The other point that comes into play is open enrollment for insurance. That happens in November and it's effective in January. So until that closes, we have to settle up. And then there's always changes. Somebody gets married, so they're going to change their insurance from single to now I'm married, two-person. So there's constant changes with staffing that have nothing to do with FTE number of staff. So there's adjustments related to insurance. Food service is 100% AFSCME except for Tony Delgado. So this one does have staffing changes and expenditures that fluctuate. But yes, that kind of detailed communication is stuff that we're going to see in a different format, one that I highlighted at the workshop. Student Activity Fund, this one's a little different for a variety of reasons. So when I originally presented this budget, I shared with you that I was trying to make it simple. The reality is I don't know how much fundraising and collection of fees and dollars that they're going to bring in. And I have not taken the charge to tell them, figure it out, run it like a little business. It wouldn't be worth their time and it would not be valuable to you. So I put a placeholder that gives them enough breadth to move. They have the authority to spend the money that they receive and the money that they have already collected. So again, that same thinking that I want to put in the budget the ability for them to spend all that they have, just like a capital project fund. This is what I presented when I came in June. What I know now is the audited figure. So you can see how that really fluctuates because again, they're never going to spend it all. It's there for continuation, but I don't know how much they're going to spend, so we just put a placeholder in there that covers the essence of the budgeting process. Looking ahead, the only change I make is I'm just kind of making it a little bit more reasonable, a little bit more familiar, again, closer to a year versus 2 months, and knowing a lot more about that particular book of business. And again, I want to give them the authority to spend all that they have. I don't know who's going to spend on what, but just to know that they have the ability to do that by board approval. Lastly, the operating fund, the real meat of the conversation, the thing that pays our bills and turns the lights on and whatnot. I'm going to break it down, similar format to what I did in June, first with revenues. So this is the original revenue budget that I presented in June. I'm going to overlay that now with the amended. And as we talked about in the workshop and the book detail that I gave you, you have line by line detail of what's in there, but for the purpose of this forum, basically we've adjusted local grants, state grants and federal grants. So that's quite a healthy impact on the revenue side of the equation. In addition, on the other, you have GASB 77, which is a presentation related to our RICO copiers that we bought, and we had an Act 18 funds, which is special ed tax revenue coming to us that was an increase. And if I go back to the state line, we didn't lose the number of kids that we thought, and we got more per pupil foundation than we thought. So that adjustment is also in there. In addition to the continuation of the UAAL, or MIPSR's School Retirement Fund, that is constantly being supported by the money coming through the state to the districts, and then the districts cut a check back to the retirement system. So it's to keep our overall costs down and to fund that overall initiative. So now if we just focus on the amendment, the visual that tends to be the most frequently used for revenue is source. Where do we get our revenue? So even though we increased the dollars by nearly 4 million, the concentration is almost identical to what it was in the past. I want to do the exact same exercise with expenditures. So first looking at the original, and again, I summarized a few of these. Your resolution actually has more prescribed detail. For example, instruction is broken out, basic instruction added, support. Support is pupil support as well as instructional support and the like. So we started off with 47 million, and now we're looking at the amendment being, again, 51 million. So large change, dramatic difference with grants, a lot of them. In fact, 50 grants are running through our books this year just in general fund. And that's the primary piece. And again, back to a similar statement that I had with Chuck a moment ago, we also do a shear up with salaries. Again, open enrollment can change, and that you don't have to wait for open enrollment if you have a qualifying event. So somebody could get married July, and there we are. But we didn't necessarily have that information when we started the budget process, assuming everything was static back in April. So there's salary adjustments and the impact of grants. In the administrative piece, there was additional election expenditures related to renewing our 10-year operating millage, which, good investment, because we renew that for 10 years, $6.6 million, and it's part of our 18 mills that are assumed. So if we didn't have that money, that would be a real huge impact to us negatively. And we've had some higher than expected legal costs this year. Grants, utilities, and supply costs. Supply costs on average in our custodial maintenance department is 28%. So it's pretty astronomical, and I know we're seeing it individually at the market when we buy our food. So there is inflationary factors that we're still trying to wrestle with, and things like fuel as well as supply costs. And that kind of sprinkles down just about all the areas. And again, I restored the transfer to the public improvement fund. So here you'll see it as an expense to general fund, but you saw it as a revenue item on public improvement. And then if we just kind of focus on how it landed, again, you see that pie chart. The visual percentages is not dramatically different because we tend to, take up the same focus. Instruction is always going to be your biggest piece of the pie. You mentioned earlier, Carrie, about the 23G grant, for example. That's in there. It's in basic instruction. And Katie's grant, the wellness one, that's in other, because that's outside for the community. So again, they land in different spots by prescribed regulation with the 1022 manual. But it's in there. So now I want to kind of recap general fund with just a summary visual like I had with the other funds. So the original budget, here is the revenue, total expense line. This is what you had back in June. But we know now that the audit was better than expected, which we always expect it to be better because there's things that we put in there that are not utilized, or we have timing differences on projects, for example. So this is what it would reflected if we just changed the audited figure. And now looking at the amendment, kind of putting it all together, we now are starting with the beginning fund balance of 8.5. And with all the additional revenue and for all the grants, just again to revisit, grants are revenue equal expense. So I add a grant on, I add the revenue, and then I add the expense. So it's really a zero impact on fund balance. And then, so I'm projecting right now that the amended fund balance for general fund is going to be just over $9 million. And then this is a visual I think is always important because it shows the history, it shows the hard work, and it shows your current position. So it hasn't always been where we are. We're in good shape right now. The money trough is running low. Inflation is still high. We're starting to see a reset to normal. So all the COVID money, all the extra grants, those are going to start to diminish and slow down dramatically. We're not going to see the 5% renewal on the state aid. The governor's plan so far that she's shared with us is looking at 2.5%. So things are going to start to normalize. That's the word I would use. So in the leaner times, you had to fight to stay static and get to the 10% goal, and I do not know historically when that 10% board policy was introduced for Swartz Creek, but I know that that is your current policy, and you've met it right about 2019, and you've stayed well above it since then. So I know we want to protect that initiative, but best practice is 20%. You don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. And we've all, well, a lot of us have seen lean years either in this position or outside of it. And I was in schools in 2012 when the state actually took money back. So things like that you don't think could happen actually do happen. So that's what fund balance is there for, is for all of those unknowns. So we can keep things going on a normal click and not have to worry about interruptions of service. And if we do add, such as the blueberries, we can add it sustainably, year after year. I believe that's it. I'm sure I was a little bit more than 3 minutes, but it is 18. That is what I'm projecting, yes. Yes. We're probably going to be within 5% of that. Again, I think that 5% budget to actual variance is a standard that I will target, that I will shoot for.
So if it's at 5%, that would be, that's plus, right?
Correct, correct.
So 5% would be about 2.2 million. 2.2 million. So that will eat up some of the fund balance that you're projecting that we gain.
No, I'm saying that 5% is the budget to actual variance error rate, if you will, that we have historically used that's kind of school budgeting. So 5% of the 51 million. So that's how we might have more going into fund balance, not less.
So our projected cost is going to be $50,500,000 around the school district this year.
That's a fair statement.
Yeah, because it's 5%, right?
Mhm.
And we're bringing in a total of how much? 51 million.
Correct. I will not bring you a budget that you will be surprised that gets worse. I will bring you a budget that is safeguarded and the results are better. So the fact that results are better than the budget is an expectation, a normal, predictable expectation. How much? Many variables.
Any other questions for Jamie? Thank you, ma'am.
I just have a comment. I just want to thank you for the presentation, but also for the presentation you gave us the other day over in the conference room. It was very in-depth. I'm sure that it helped our new board members to kind of know what's going on, as well as to learn some of the different breakdowns within the budget. So I just wanted to thank you for that, and I want to thank you for bringing in all this money for us and getting our fund balance back up to 18%. Let's shoot for 20. Let's shoot for 25, but let's shoot for 20. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, Jamie. And thanks again for the work that you did in preparation for our board workshop. And I know the community doesn't sit through those types of conversations, but I think it enlightened all of us. And so appreciate that.
Well, I'm looking forward to our April meeting as well.
We are too. Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, just
Go ahead. I was going to tell Jamie she's free to leave afterwards. I don't want her to be the Lone Ranger.
Call my mom.
Unless you want to wait until we approve the amendment.
So I just want to say, and I realized I did say it at the committee meeting, but I did not include it in the notes, and I said it that night. Thank you. You've done a phenomenal job here in a very short period of time. And so the public knows and the rest of the district knows, I think you've done a wonderful job listening to the board and the questions that we have and wanting better understanding, and you have a desire to have transparency for the district and for us and work together well, and you did a phenomenal job, as Jack said, both at the workshop and each month coming to the finance committee meetings, providing us even more and more information, and even the notes on there that talk about why something's going up and down. Fantastic. Thank you very, very much. It's super appreciated.
Thank you, Jessica.
You're welcome. All right, thank you. And as I said, if you want to stay for the amendment approval, you're free to stay with us. All right, I think we have up next the first reading of our policy updates. Jim?
Yes, and basically that's in your packet, and once again, you have a month to look it over and bring back any recommendations that you have for that.
And just so you are all aware, I already did send out an email with all of the different choices that we had, and I included in there everything that we did choose, to the best of my knowledge. Again, if you have any questions, concerns, anything, feel free to email or text me. I'll try and get back to you within, well, as fast as I can, really.
Thanks, Jack. Okay, so that is that. We did have a request to possibly move our book study to next month. Is there any opposition to that? And I think the advantage to that would be that Rod would be here as well. Jim, you would do a fine job, but you've been part of this, and so is he, and I'd like to basically give it the credit it's due and the time that we would like to contribute. Is there anybody who objects to that?
Nope, I would support that motion.
Okay, all right, anybody concerned about that? Okay, so we are required, if we remove it this time, to then add it to our next board meeting. So why don't we do that? And Jim, you're off the hook for this one. I actually have to say that the blueberries, if anybody who's read the fifth section 5 or whatever, the last section, I was thinking about those kids and their outward mindsets. They're how old? And they already have outward mindsets. Not a lot of adults have achieved that. So anyway.
Hopefully there are more successful students. They'll probably be more successful in life.
They will have a giving head and a giving heart, and that's so important.
Well, that's a win regardless of monetarily. You know, it's a win for them inside.
Okay, so if we are going to move that ahead to our next meeting, board action items, so beginning with the approval of the 23-24 budget amendment resolution. I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Jet? Holly? Okay. Be it resolved, any questions or comments? Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the 2023-2024 budget amendment resolution as presented. Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Jack Sayer,
Yes.
Chuck Melkey,
Yes.
Andrea Fick,
Yes.
Carrie Germain.
Yes.
Holly Jarvis.
Yes.
Jessica Lenny.
Yes.
6 yes.
Thank you, motion passes, and thank you, Jamie. Thank you for all of your work and your commitment to our district. Thank you for saying yes to us. Okay, next we have the approval of the Swartz Creek Community School District's MASB Region 5 representative. You should have all received a Board of Directors elections. Jim, are you going to go through this, or this is just? Okay, so this is, this looks like a presentation, maybe.
It's in the packet. It's in the packet.
This is, yes. So you don't have this?
All the pictures.
Okay, so in the packet that was given to us by Sue, we are Region 5, and there are 2 individuals, I believe, who are running for a position on MASB board. Janice Holtz and Rashonda Williams. Ms. Holtz is from the Huron Intermediate School District. Huron County has served 32 years, I believe this means on her MASB board, and then 25 years with Bad Axe Public Schools. And then this is on page 6 is Rashonda Williams, Beecher Community School District, Genesee County. She has been on the Beecher board, I believe that's what this means. It doesn't list any time for MASB, for 6 years. They have both expressed interest in being supported for their opportunity to serve on the MASB board. We, as a board, have an opportunity to choose one of these individuals. Some of the regions did not have any opposition, and when that's the case, then that person moves forward. Otherwise, we have an opportunity to choose one of the individuals, and we vote online, I believe. I'm not the one who votes, so we vote online, and then they know our preference for an individual to represent us on the MASB board. So, are there any questions before we move toward a vote?
So we did this last year, right?
Yeah, without
Yeah.
pictures.
Or was that Genesee County Board we did last year?
We did GISD
Okay.
last year.
Okay. And then we, as a board, pick and then
Mm-hmm.
submit one online.
Right. So we, as a district in Region 5, choose ours, and then they are collected, and then the Region 5
We can ignore the other
person
region
is.
people. Okay.
I,
I kept looking at them,
So-
I see it at the top.
so go ahead, Jessica.
I was just going to clarify that, Janice, the incumbent, the 32 years is with the Huron ISD, the other 25 years is part of
There you go.
JEDX, and then their engagement with MASB. And if you notice, her name is highlighted as the current incumbent. And then the other candidate is not. But are you looking for a motion?
I am.
Then I will make a motion that we nominate Janice Holz, or she is our candidate to represent Region 5.
Do I have support?
Support.
That was Chuck.
Yes.
Any comments or questions? Hearing none. Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves Janice Holtz as the Swartz Creek District MASB Region 5 representative as presented. Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Jessica Lenave,
Yes.
Andrea Fick,
Yes.
Carrie Germain.
Yes.
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
Holly Jarvis,
Yes.
Jack Sayer.
Yes.
6 yes.
Thank you. Motion passes, and best of luck to both of the candidates. Next, we have the approval of the sale of 1 to 4 buses.
Yeah, it's a cycle that we have, that after 13 years, buses go up for sale. We buy in November, we sell in the spring, and it's really based on need. Sometimes we take buses a little longer than we should. So this is just kind of freeing up the idea of 1 to 4 if we can do it.
And just another aside, Holly, sometimes they're purchased by nonprofit groups, or in the past, a long past, they would go to, a country, a third world country where they didn't have transportation. But it depends on who's buying, right? And so that's just another piece of information too.
Can I ask a quick question? And since she's here, maybe can I direct this to Jamie for a minute? Because in the memo, at one point it says November 8th, and I vaguely remember us talking about the sale of the buses based on the schedule. But later on, this says in here that we will sell buses between this fiscal year and next fiscal year. So are we planning on only selling 2 before July 1st, 2024? Am I understanding this correctly?
It's possible, but the timing of it, I leave to RC and his department to determine when they're ready to release and put it up for sale.
But this is, in that beginning part of this memo is based on when we had the initial conversations about the buses we are buying and why we need to buy them, because these ones are old enough that we need to sell.
Yes.
I'm just making sure because of the dates. Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions for Jamie or Jim? All right, with that, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Jack and Andrea, any comments or questions? Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the sale of 4 buses on GovDeals auction website between this fiscal year and the next fiscal year. The total auction reserve price for each bus is recommended at $5,500. Sue, could you do roll call, please?
Andrea Fick,
Yes.
Holly Jarvis.
Yes.
Jack Sayer,
Yes.
Carrie Germain,
Yes.
Jessica Lenave,
Yes.
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
6 yes.
Go out and sell. All right, next and finally, we have the approval of Hanover Service Agreement for Online Professional Development. Jim, I'm guessing that's you.
Yes, basically, this would replace two services that we currently have. This provides opportunities for our staff to engage in continuous learning virtually. We already have a relationship with Hanover, and they really are the experts when it comes to education research. So the platform that they provide is more engaging, shorter snippets, for teachers to be able to engage with. And so this really would enhance our online learning for our staff.
Thanks, Jim. Any questions for Jim? It's, as I understood it yesterday, it's pretty much a wash, right, what we're doing now? All right, with that, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Support.
Jack and Andrea? Any comments or questions? Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the Hanover Service Agreement for Online Professional Development as presented. Sue, can you do roll call, please?
What's the dollar amount, Carrie?
In the amount of
Be in there.
$39,500.
Can we amend that motion to have that included in there? Or it's already in there, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and I will amend my resolution to say, as presented, in the amount of $39,500. Thank you, Chuck.
Holly Jarvis,
Yes.
Andrea Fick,
Yes.
Jessica Lenave,
Yes.
Jack Sayer,
Yes.
Carrie Germain.
Yes.
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
6 yes.
Thank you very much. Motion passes. All right, finally, we have, go. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Sure.
I don't know, unless you want me to wait, that we need, or I'd like to, yeah, make a resolution. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the removal of the course fees from the high school.
Okay,
Course
I will take that as a,
24-25 school year.
I will take that as a motion. Do we have support?
Support.
Okay, Chuck, any comments or questions? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's something that's already been discussed with Mr. Clark and his team, and now it'll be official. Thank you very much. All right, finally, public comments. Travis is good? Okay, Jamie? All right, moving on, we have comments and questions from the board. Anyone?
I have a couple.
Sure.
Sorry. Sorry. I didn't realize that we were getting this, but I just wanted to mention that Carrie, Kim, and I were at the Genesee County Association School Board members meeting with the legislative update with Jennifer Smith from MASB. I know that it was sent out, but I did just forward it to Sue because there was a presentation along with it, or a sheet with all the different House and Senate bills for the rest of the board to be able to receive it. And so I just wanted to put that in there, and it is my understanding that the County School Board Association is planning on doing another all school board member educational workshop at some point later this year. I believe it will be on mental health after the ISD symposium is what they're calling it, right? After that, they're going to be doing something for all boards.
And thanks for bringing that up, Jessica. That was an excellent program. Very well done, very succinct. They took questions, and we're anticipating, how long it'll take to pass a budget in Michigan. It was really very well done, so.
And I have one last thing, if I may, as a cheerleader. Thank you, bus drivers, for being awesome and amazing. And if I may give one little extra shout out to Miss Janet, thank you for being an awesome driver.
Yay, bus drivers.
In my neighborhood.
We couldn't do it without you. All right. Any other comments, Jessica? Okay. All right. Anyone else? I want to thank all the folks that were here tonight. Congratulate the cheerleaders again. Our new teachers-to-be that are here visiting this semester. It's exciting that they'll be working with Katie and her team, and, you know, what a great team to work with. The blueberries, what can I say? That was just so heartfelt, and I hope we see more of them, because I kind of lost touch with them, Chuck, like you probably did.
Yeah, I did.
I used to watch them in the Flint Journal and all the things and exciting things, and then it kind of fell off the radar for a while. So to see what it means to these kids that are, especially the older kids and the younger ones who are aspire to be like the older ones, I just think there's nothing better than that.
So you got my hint, right, that we can, I'm tight with the money, but we could probably,
I'm just saying,
we're gonna help them with a little
$20
money.
plaque is not horrible.
Yeah,
like,
and
even if I
Holly, I'm
put-
sorry if I misunderstood. I thought you wanted the plaque on the wall. That's why I said for them to come in. I must have missed that part.
No, that was fine too. I was talking about a plaque on the wall, just like,
Yeah.
you know, little like
Yeah.
certificate plaque, but that has
Yeah.
their names listed on it. I mean, I don't think that's too horrendous. I just didn't know if that's something, I wasn't trying to put people on the spot, but I didn't know if that was something that was
I
even
think it was
eligible to be
a
hung in the
great
school.
idea. It was a great, because we recognize everything else.
Yes.
And it's not that big of it's not like there's 500 kids are participating. And those kids really are giving a lot of themselves to be involved in that. And you know how I feel about kids organizations and dog organizations, so.
Right.
They're doing God's work, and I think we need to give them a few bucks if they need, you know, a few dollars for their little meals or whatever. And nothing, Jamie, you're great, but you're always talking about spending down money. That would be a great way to spend down some money, to say, hey, we're gonna give $100 from food service to do what?
Right. That's why I was
If
also
we
asking
can.
if there was some
Yeah.
kind
If
of
we
like
can.
send-off, like
Yeah.
if they did some sort of celebratory dinner.
Yeah.
like, saying goodbye to them, or, you know, or things for, you know, that's why I was asking. But I also think it's a
Good.
wonderful idea potentially, and I know it takes legwork of volunteer people to do the second
But I would
graders,
like a
because
quart
that
of
gives them a
blueberries brought in
chance
too, though, 'cause
to
that's my
be
favorite.
mentors as well.
Big old fat blueberries.
So even just to recognize the students over the years, and you'd have to have pretty comprehensive records, but it sounds like they do. Like
They
they
do.
have it all together, and to recognize those students and have them come back for a celebration, and also encourage the younger students, right, to stick with it, and maybe what it's done in their lives. I just,
Well, COVID closed everybody up and kind of isolated people, and this is still a program that's going out and actually making contacts with people and to help people that are in need, so.
And to
great
Katie's
program.
point, giving
Yeah.
back to the folks in the community
Yeah.
that we're now asking to help, come and help our community,
Yeah.
it's just,
I'm
it's
amazed
amazing.
that we're the only district still doing it, if that's, I'm just, you know, out of 23, 24 districts.
That's because Swartz Creek is so cool.
Okay.
All right,
Let's move
any other
Good job.
comments?
Good job, board.
All right, with that, I would entertain a motion for dismissal.
So moved.
Any comments or questions? Those in favor say aye.
I gotta go, my knee.
Any opposed? We are now adjourned. Thank you. And thank you, Jim. Thanks so much. You did a great job. Thank you. Thanks, board. Thanks, Sue. Thank you, Sue.